What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Bray here, back with another video, man. So, like I said, y'all, I'm trying to be consistent. I got a new video for y'all today. And that video is going to be, as you see in the title, is a BMW F-Series 340i worth buying in 2025. So, clearly, this is my 2018 BMW 340i. It is an F-Series. It is the last F-Series 340i that was ever made, actually. I mean, not ever in production, but the last year that they had, you know what I mean? So, I personally like it, right? This is my first BMW. I'm coming from two previous Infiniti Q50s, and before that, I had a Nissan Sentra, right? So I've always had, I guess, Japanese cars. I mean, the Nissan is Japanese as well. It's not JDM, but it's a Japanese car. You know what I mean? I've always had those type of cars. So this is definitely different for me. You know what I mean? This is my first Euro car, and I like it. You know what I mean? I think as far as is the car worth buying in 2025, it ultimately boils down to what car you're coming from. You know what I mean? So I'm looking at this as like a, not a first car kind of standpoint, but a first BMW standpoint, right? So, I mean, if this would be your first BMW or your first car in general, then yes, this is definitely worth buying. You know what I mean? Like I said, this is definitely a luxury car to me. It's luxury and it's sporty, and it's kind of everything the Q was, but better. It does the luxury better, it does the sports and aggressiveness and driving better, it handles better, all the above. It's just a better car overall, and it holds its value better, right? So we'll get into that as well, the value standpoint of it. But like I said, this car is a great car. It's treated me well so far, and it was, you know, well maintained by the last owner. It was actually a single owner car. That owner, he bought it, well, he leased it at first, and then he financed it afterwards. So it's one owner. And I met him, you know what I mean? He sold me the car. I got it for around $27,000. I got it off on Facebook, and you know what I mean? It was treated well. He didn't drive it too much in the, you know, the last coming years of him selling it, or before him selling it, but it was maintained pretty well. He had good service records. It had all the warranty work that needs to be done, and I still have warranty on the vehicle itself. So, you know what I mean? This car was treated well, and of course it's a B58, Gen 1 B58 at that. So, you know what I mean? It's a monster, you know what I mean? It's like what inspired everybody else to want to get the Gen 2s and get the Supras and get all that stuff. This is what started it. This is the B58. Now, not to say that in a manner of the other B58s are less superior, right? Because the other B58s obviously start out with, I think, like 60 more horsepower. They have a different fuel pump, all that good stuff. They're refined to be a better motor. But the B58 Gen 1 is still the motor, you know what I mean? Like, it's the motor that started it all. So this would never, ever be a bad pick. It wasn't like it was unreliable. This was reliable. It still is reliable. So when it boils down to it, as far as reliability goes, this is definitely a car that you should get. You know what I mean? I came from another reliable platform, the VQ platform. And then from that platform, I went to the VR platform, the VR30 platform. From that one to the B58. You know what I mean? I feel like I had a very good progression when it comes to platforms. I started with a good old VQ, you know what I mean? It didn't sound like shit though. If y'all think it sound like shit, if y'all are on my channel and you've never watched any of my Q videos and think it sound like shit, please go check out my Q videos, because my Q was beautiful and it sounded beautiful as well. I really missed that car. But my transition of cars was amazing. I don't regret it, not one bit. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, I had to go through those transitions, but it all brought me here ultimately. All God's plan, it all worked out for me. I have a BMW 340i now, you know what I mean? So let's go ahead and get into the point of, is it worth buying in 2025, right? I have a 2018, of course, there's older models, you know what I mean? So is a car this old even worth buying? Well, keep in mind, I bought this car for $27,000. It had around 70,000 miles on it. This car is still worth, on Kelley Blue Book, the day I bought it, it was worth $26,000 Kelley Blue Book, and I paid a little over Kelley Blue Book for the car. Mainly because I really wanted it and I really needed it, you know what I mean? But with that being said, my car is already positive equity, you know what I mean? I had some kind of deals going on with my bank, and my car is positive equity already. I can go trade my car in today, and I'm positive equity like $6,000 in this car. So it all boils down to what deal you get on your car. Of course, you don't want to go get a clapped out one, you know what I mean? If it is clapped and it's fixable, that's great, you know what I mean? But if you're financing it, or if it's just like kind of your last dollars, you don't want to go get a clapped one. You want to make sure you're getting a good deal, because there are some clapped ones out there, but I for sure got a good one. My car was optioned out to around I want to say $58,000. So I have a lot of spec. I have the M Sport spec, of course. So I have the bumper. The brakes were painted, but I have the M Sport brakes. I have the M Sport suspension stock, which, I mean, doesn't matter now because I've already put springs on. I have the heads-up display. I have all the good specs. I'm only missing a few specs. But, I mean, overall, I have a good car, and I have value in my car still. So, of course, unlike a Q50, this car will hold its value. Even though it's a 2018, this is going to hold its value. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, when it comes down to pricing between this car to an M340i, when it comes to the price, there is like a $20,000 difference in price. I looked at some M340i's. Don't get me wrong, I wanted one, right? I looked at one that was $35,000. I was going to get it. I was this close upon the trigger on it, like literally this close, days away. But ultimately, when it came down to it, I had to make the decision of passing on it because that car, while it was cheap, while it had low miles, it just had imperfections. It had dents, it had scratches, the paint needed work, and on top of that, it didn't have spec. It didn't have sport seats, it didn't have the heads-up display, it didn't have any of those good specs that you would want from a newer car. Why get the newer car without the newer good specs? You know what I mean? So if it came down to this car or that one, I chose this one. You know what I mean? It's like this one has more specs than that car did. Of course, yeah, that one's newer. It was a 2020, so that one was newer, 2 years newer, but it didn't have those 2 years worth of spec. You know what I mean? So I was basically going from the last gen B58 on the F series for the F30 to the first series of the G20 B58, right? So the newest M340 or the oldest M340. So within that jump of 2 years, my car is still the better spec. You know what I mean? So for me, this car was worth buying over that one. Now, if it comes down to it and you guys have a very good spec G20 M340i, take it. You know what I mean? I'm not going to say don't buy it. If you have the funds, right? Because on top of just the fact that the Gen 1 or the F30 340i is still a good car to buy, on top of that, so is the M340i, right? So the only big difference here is going to be whether or not you care about the $20,000 difference in price. You know what I mean? If that's going to affect you at all, and that's $20,000 being generous, I should say. More, I mean, you can find a good one, a good F30 for around 25 to 30. So, and then a M340i is going to be around, for a good one, I mean, at the lowest, 35,000 to, you know, you can see them up to 60,000 new. You know what I mean? So in the used range, though, you're going to find them around $35,000 to $45,000, depending on how many miles are on them. So it is a generous $15,000 to $20,000 gap in the price. You know what I mean? Depending on how you're finding it, spec'd, how many miles, how many owners, all that stuff is going to fall into it, of course. But, you know what I mean? For comparable vehicles, options, you know what I mean? All that good stuff, they're going to be around a $15,000 to $20,000 difference. So if it's worth paying that for you to have the newer car, for you to have the color changing ambient lights, for you to have the bigger screen, and for you to have the digital dash, go for it. You know what I mean? The G series is definitely beautiful. I'm not knocking it. I would definitely, if I had to do it all over again and the cars were the same price, of course I'm taking the G20. You know what I mean? Or if this is a $5,000 difference, of course I'm taking the G20. Or if, say, the one that I looked at had better specs, of course I'm taking the G20. It's the newer car. It has all the newer updates, right? But in my situation, it wasn't that. So I didn't have the option between good spec and good spec but older. I didn't have that option. For me, it was good spec or newer but bad spec. So I chose the F30. And even if you don't have the option between either of the two cars, I mean, the F30 is still beautiful. It has amazing body lines. It's arguably the F80, right? Which is kind of on, it's on the same chassis as this car, just a little beefier, of course, with a different motor. So the F80, which is arguably one of the most beautiful and one of the best ever built M3s, right? It has the same body lines. I mean, it's wider in the back, has a different bumper, has a different front bumper, has a different wheel setup, all that good stuff. But it's still, you know, if you look at the cars from this angle only, you wouldn't know if that's M3 or not. You know what I mean? So it's like they're pretty damn similar, right? The car is beautiful. Nobody can tell you that the car isn't beautiful, especially if you build it. You have the sport package, you have good wheels, you have good taste. If you have good taste, this car will be amazing. So when it comes down to value between the cars, like I've already said, I mean, I'm positive equity in my car. But with the M340is being so terribly priced right now, it's very hard to, like I said, the one I found was terrible spec and it was $35,000. So with them being so highly priced, I can't justify paying for one right now, right? Like, You have the option between an M340i or a F80 M3 right now. That's pretty much how the market is. It's so upside down that you can get a M Light, right? Which, no disrespect to M Light. It's M Light. It's a B58. It's a good car. I'm not saying M Light as it's in a bad car, but it's just, it's M Light versus a true F80 M3. You know what I mean? That's what they have the option between right now, because they're very, very, very similar price. So if it boiled down to that, I feel like most true car enthusiasts would take a F80 M3. You know what I mean? Especially if well-spec'd. But you have the option between those two cars right now, you know what I mean? And it's like, or you can just take a step down and get the F30 340i, you know what I mean? And this car is just as good, it has just as much potential, and it's just overall a good car, you know what I mean? As far as value goes, you can see where the market is. So you know that the car isn't gonna, it can't hold that value for that long, you know what I mean? Like, as it goes through owners, all that good stuff, the value of the car is gonna drop. And that's with every car, right? But they're very hyped up right now. And if you get in now to the car and you drive it for like 20,000 miles within its whole life period, you might still keep some value. Otherwise, you're probably gonna lose some value in that car. You know what I mean? The F30s, they're holding their value pretty well right now when well-spec'd and all that good stuff. So I definitely take an F30 any day when it comes to value and how I'm getting, if I'm getting the best bang for my buck, I'm taking the F30. I think the F30 is the best bang for buck BMW you can buy right now. You know what I mean? It's just, it boils down to you and how you feel about it. But I ultimately think that the F30 340i is a bang for buck steal right now. And it has been since it came out, you know what I mean? Even when it was getting compared to like a F80 M3, for people that didn't want to spend M3 money, they got a 340i. And it's still that way, you know what I mean? Because now it's like, if you don't want to spend M3 money, people get a M340i when you can get an F80 M3 and still have an M3. You know what I mean? The prices are just all upside down right now. And it all boils down to how much money you have, right? When it comes to which car you should get, it boils down to how much money you really have to just throw at a car and maybe lose value in it, or maybe just you don't even care about the value. Maybe you just want to enjoy the car. It all boils down to if you want to throw that amount of money at the car, or if you want to get the genuine B58 and go F30. Like I said, this is my first BMW, and I'm impressed. You know what I mean? I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything, because of course I can get a G Series, but I mean, the F Series is doing me just fine. I would go get another BMW at some point, and whether or not I get another B58 BMW, like if I go get an M340i, that all depends on how long I have this car for. If it was within the next 6 months, would I trade this car in for an M340i? If I had a good deal, good spec, good price, yes, I won't lie, I would do it. But I mean, that's not to say I don't like this car. That's just to say I'm taking advantage of a good deal. But if it came down to me owning this car for 4 years, would I go get a 2027 M340i? No, I wouldn't do that. I would just go get a G80 at that point after having the car for so long. Because why would I go pay for an M340i when I already have the B58? I've already done all the experimenting on the B58 platform. I might as well get a G Series and get a G80 at that point, not a G20. So, I mean, this is going to be a debate, I'm sure, for most people, what the better car is, who feels what way, why they feel that way, etc. But overall, for me, and I'm just going to keep the video as short as possible without rambling on too much. I feel like I rambled on a lot in this video already, but it's just because I feel strongly good about the F30, you know what I mean? I feel very strongly that the F30 is a good deal still in 2025. If you could find one for a good price, I mean, I preach to my friends that don't have a BMW that are looking for a car right now. I'm like, bro, like, if you can, get a 340i, get an F Series. And they're like, well, I want an M340i. I'm like, okay, then get an M340i and pay the extra money for it. And ultimately kind of boil down and have the same thing when it comes to the car. Like, of course, the interior is updated. Okay, it's a G Series, right? Of course, you have the different, technology and infotainment. Of course, it's a newer car. But when it comes down to if you're getting the car for a driver, F30 is still a good car. It's very responsive. You know what I mean? It doesn't have the hybrid system. It's just full raw B58. If you're getting the car for the luxury of it, if you're getting the car because you want to feel good in it, you want to feel extra luxury rather than just feeling like you're in a luxury car, right? The F30 is luxury. Is the G Series more luxury? To an extent, yes. It has, different colors. It has more, I guess, digital stuff in it. And that nowadays is considered more luxury. If you want the car for luxury, you don't plan on modding it, you don't plan on going fast in it, you just want something that's stock, quick, and feels good. Would you want an M340i? Probably. I mean, I won't lie, you might want that one more than that 30. But like I said, it all boils down to what you can pay for at the time and what you feel like is a good introduction car. You can't get an M340i as your first car and then not ever want to get an M3. You know what I mean? You can, but I mean, if you're really into cars, you probably won't want to. I feel like an F30 was a good start for me because I can go from a F30 340i to a G80 M3. You know what I mean? Or G82 M4, whatever the case may be. I can take that big jump and it'll feel different. You know what I mean? It'll feel like a different car, inside and out. So for me, I'm happy with my decision. Is the F80 or is the F30 340i still a good deal in 2025? The short answer is yes. I give you the short answer after I make you watch a long video. But yes, it definitely is still worth it. I definitely, if I could do it all over again, would pick the same car over and over and over again. Like I said, I got a good deal on mine. I can't complain about mine. It's well treated. It looks good all over. It's just great. I don't have any regrets about my car. Other people may have a different deal. It might not be as good as a deal. But I got a good deal on mine, which is why I'm making this video and saying that it is a good buy. Because you can find deals like mine. I'm sure there's at least one deal in your state like mine where you can get your car for a good price, still have value in it, and have good specs.